We're now on Dcad lesson 21D, dealing with the structure. And last time we dealt with wall bracing, and we just did one main floor wall dealing with the large overhead garage door, just to make sure that wall was going to work for us. So next what we're going to do is, because we're going to start dealing with our gravity load stuff, I'm going to deal with floor framing for the upper floor. So I'm going to hit Z for zoom and zoom up on this area, and we can go on out of the wall bracing, and I'm going to scroll down here and go to active or name layers only, and scroll on down, and we'll be dealing with upper floor framing. So that's right here, and I'm going to go ahead and just get out of the wall bracing right now so we can get a better look at what we're dealing with here. So we know we're 24 feet long along this axis, and we've elected to run the joist along that long axis because we want to minimize the amount of loading we're putting on this header over this garage door. So we'll be running these floor joists on the long axis in order to accomplish that. So I'm hoping that we can do our floor joist at 11 7/8 inch depth. I'm not sure what spacing it'll be or even what joist it we'll be using at this point in time. Actually, I do, because I've already run this. But anyway, we're pretending. So bottom line is I'm going to go to the Boise Cascade site right now, and when you boot up that site, and you need to do it either in Internet Explorer or Chrome or something that's a browser that actually works with their online program. And essentially all you have to do is type bccalc.com, and it'll bring up the website, and if you're already logged in, then you're good to go. So so we already know quite a bit about what we want to do here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up a floor joist, and just double click on it here, and it'll bring up a empty blank joist, so to speak. It's processing. Okay, so it's coming up with a bunch of defaults. It's saying that the support width is 3.5 inches, just in kind of overlooking things real quickly. We don't need to deal with the bearing analysis at this point in time, so I'm going to change the bearing width to 5.5 inches on each end. And it's just going to be a single span. So and that span's going to be 24. So right now it's set at 14. So I'm just going to replace that 1 with a 2 at 24 feet. Go on settings, and we're going to use 1 1/8 floor sheathing. So I'm going to change that down to 1 1/8, wherever it is. There it is. And we'll just leave it as OSB. That's a little heavier than plywood, but that's okay. Let's see, we're going to be using glue nail joist. Floor values. We use the floor values. We're going to be using gypboard on the ceiling below, so that's going to be 5/8. I'm not using any blocking or strapping. We want our live load deflection to be at least L/480. Hopefully it'll come out better than that. Maximum total deflection, I'm going to hold at 3/4 of an inch. I just really don't like to go more than that. Okay, so we have our basic inputs there. Let's take a look at the loads. And it has our dead load at 10 pounds per square foot. I want to increase that to 15. So I click on that load and go over here to edit. It'll bring up our load options here, and I'm just going to click on the dead load at 90%, and we're going to go down to 15 pounds, and then click save. Let's see, let me check everything else. Reference right, not that. Description, standard load. On-center spacing is defaulted to 6 inches on center at this point in time, so I'm going to go ahead and click save. And you'll see that it's changed here, our dead load, to 15 pounds per square foot. So I'm going to go to products, click on products right here. And we're at 16 inches on center. I know this is going to be a tough one because it's such a long span. 24 feet is a pretty good span. So I'm assuming it's going to be a BCI 92.1. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on that. I'm hoping for 11/7/8, and so I'm going to go ahead and just click on that. Actually, I'm going to hold the depth at 11/7/8, then click on that, and let's see. And then I want to go ahead and analyze the member. Okay, so over here is a readout of our analysis and how things are applied and what the results are. And so our live load deflection is really that and the maximum deflection are really our closest to not working components there, but they both work, and actually that's fine. Our live load deflection is really pretty close to not working, but I'm sorry, live load deflection but it's good. It's good enough. So anyway, we've sized our joists now. We know that those work at 16 inches on center. I'm going to go ahead and go to I would normally go to the cloud and click here. And as you can see, I've already done it. So I'm just going to ignore all that. Normally I would click on here and just save. I'll go ahead and do it. Yeah, it's sort of overwrite it. No big deal. Okay, so now we can close. So now we're pretty clear on what's going on with our joists, and normally I would print that out to a PDF, but it's been saved to the cloud, so we're in pretty good shape there. So we're already in our upper floor framing layer. So let's go ahead and knock that out real quick. Go ahead and deal with our floor framing. We're going to be also using 1¼ inch BCI rim joist. So I'm going to right now. I'm going to pull out a color that I'm happy with, and I think we'll use the blue for the rim joist. And let me just click on that, so it changes it over here. And I'm just going to hit V for vector and go to H for orthogonal mode, and right-click at this corner and click on all 4 corners. And then I'm going to actually select that. Now that may have selected the wall line. I'm going to click on my info box here, and sure enough, I can tell from the color that it did. So if I hit enter, it'll cycle through, and there's our blue for our joist, and showing it in the proper layer there. So now I want to hit parallel by distance, which is F2, and I'm going to click in there and just type 1.25 inches. Click near that line and pull it inside, and so now we have our rim joist established. Now in reality, we can easily just use a typical joist over this other side, so it's sort of matter of personal preference which one you want to use. So we'll take a look at that joist. Actually, I've called up the Western Spec Guide because I'm going to need to know what the thickness or width of the joist flanges are and that information. So, but let me just minimize that just temporarily here. And let's see. Let's go to see if we can actually find that. So I'm going to just go here. And here's our floor joist right here. And that was a BCI 90-2.0 Douglas fir. Okay, so I can go ahead and minimize that again and go back to our PDF and go to the spec guide and go to this part that shows the various joists. So here's our 90.2. I'm going to zoom up on that a little bit. And so it's got a 3.5 inch flange width, and these are going to be spaced on 16 inch centers. So that's a pretty beefy joist. So anyway, we have 3.5 inch flange width, so we can go ahead and close that. That's all the information we need right now on that. So typically, what we would want to do is and typically I'll do a joist at a different color than I'm doing the rim joist. And these are rather expensive joists, so I think the rim joist might actually be less expensive than on the ends than those joists. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and draw one joist. And there's a bunch of different ways to do it, but I'm going to make them green. Okay, so I'm just going to use the rectangle command. and right click here, and then I'm going to gravity move here. Oh, I need to hit H to go out of orthogonal mode. And I'm going to gravity move here using the comma. And then I'm going to go up on the y-axis 3.5 inches. Oop, that didn't work. Try it again. Right click, gravity move. And the reason it didn't work is because it was taken from the last point. One of those things I always forget, or often forget. And hit enter. Okay, so we have one joist already set up here. Now these joists are going to be on 16-inch centers, and of course this one's not exactly there. So I'm going to hit Z for zoom, and I'm going to set a little handle on it. I'm just going to move this joist out right now. M for move, and get rid of that previous mistake, hitting delete. And so I'm going to just select this joist by getting close to this end here somewhere and hit Control K. And so that both selected the joist and because it was Control K, set the handle at the center of that web. So we know that that the thickness of our rim joist is 1.25 inches. So I'm going to just set this joist M right here on the outside, and I'm going to pull up point relative, and I want to go 1.25 inches on the x-axis, and here I want to go to 16 inches. Because I want the center of that first joist to be on 16-inch center. So I'm going to hit enter, and there it is. So I'm going to hit N to duplicate it, and hit 0, and then we're already set at 16 inches for the y-axis. Let's do another one there. So now I'm going to just kind of pull this over so I can see the rest of them. Okay, so I'm just going to select this one, and I'm going to set a handle here right at the upper portion of this last joist. You can see where it was right there, and hit my scroll button to initiate that command. And so now I can just hit N and click on this next joist and just repeat that. All the way through, scroll up a little bit, hitting N each time. And there we are. So now we have our joist laid out. That's really pretty straightforward. Not exactly rocket science, but we can see where they are, and that should all work nicely. Another thing that I typically do is I will show where any toilets are located, because in the event that we're going to end up headering off any of these joists for a water closet flange, it's good to know that in advance. So to do that, I'm going to actually, let me save here real quick, and hit Control F9, and I'm in symbols already. So, but I want to go to plumbing. So I'm going to go up here to plumbing, and I'm looking for toilet. That let's see, looking for the right one. So it says 1F, and the reason it says 1F is because 1F is because it's for floor framing, or 1F for floor. So I'm going to just click open and just set that over here for now, and hit L for layers and go to layer 8 for fixtures, and you can see where our toilet is right here. Click OK. So now I'm going to hit R and tab 90, and I'm going to go ahead and explode this symbol, and then I'm going to group it. Go over to group define. Okay, now hit Z for zoom, and hit M, and set it right over that other one. And you can see that we have a joist smack dab in the middle there, of course. So it's not a big. Now we got a couple of choices here. Things that we can do is we can actually try laying out from the other direction, and that may solve our problem. You just never know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of, or just hide these fixtures, because I still have my joist up there, and hit Z for zoom and zoom back up on this. So the handles we've changed the handles on these joists, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and The easy way to select all these joists is just to go to this guy right here and go on down to green and add it. And so now this selection filter, with selection filter activated, I'm only going to be selecting green items. So I can go ahead and remove that now and close it. So now I've already selected all these joists. And we're just going to try this to see if it works. Because we could lay out from this end and coming down as easily as we can this one. So we'll see if that changes our layout. So I'm hit Z for zoom here because I want to need to set a handle again here. So I'm going to go to over here to set selection handle. And I'm going to just gravity move to this corner of the joist. And since it's 3.5 inches in width for the flange, half of that would be 1.75 inches. So I'm going to hit tab and hit 1.75 inches. That. And so I've set my handle right there. So now I'm going to hit M for move. Bring it to this corner of the rim joist. And I want to go 1.25 inches in the x-axis and minus 16 on the y-axis. And hit enter. And so I'm just going to scroll out now using my scroll button. It should have been 6. What I did was I went 16. Look at this. I went 16 feet instead of 16 inches. We'll try that again. Okay. So I'm going to hit Control Z to undo. And I'm going to hit M again. And gravity move using the comma. And so we're still at our 1.25 inches on the X tab. We're going to go to minus 16 inches. That should work more effectively. There we are. Okay, so that looks better. Let's take a look at our toilet. Look at that. So that works. So that means that we don't have, just by changing our layout from one side to the other, we were able to avoid doing any headering off for that toilet's water closet plan. So that's kind of a good thing. Okay, so now we have our joist basically laid out, and we'll be doing actually might as well go ahead and do our layout right now too. I'm going to hit L for layers, and actually I'm going to move this toilet here into the text layer for upper floor framing. I'm going to activate that, make that our current layer, and click OK, and I'm going to just select this guy and go up here in my info box and move it down to layer 70. Okay, and then I'm going to go to black for my layout lines, and I'm just going to hit V for vector. And here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gravity move to the corner of the joist here, and use the point relative, and I'm going to, on the X, I'm going minus 2 for 2 feet, and X, I'm going to go, the Y-axis, I want to go minus 1.75 inches to put it in the center. And now I'm just going to hit 4 on the X and hit 0 on the Y and draw my line. So my lines, because I'm still at 0.40, I'm going to make some changes there. So what I want to do is I want to go to 0, 0, and then I want to go ahead and apply to selection. But the other thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and change that line type to a center line. So from a solid, I'm going down to a center. And usually for center line on joist layout, rafters, trusses, that sort of thing, I like a line scale of 2. So if I click here, you can see that it's changed to a center line now. So I can select that. I'm going to set a selection handle right here to upper portion and hit N to duplicate it, and N to duplicate it again. So now we have center lines of 3 joists. So now all I need to do is just a quick and dirty layout. I'm just going to bring my layout from this direction down. So I'm going to go over here to my dimension and hold down there and go out to my dimension extend. And you can see down here what it is. And here's dimension extended. So we're going to be going vertical because we're dimensioning down in this direction. Check out a few things here. Make sure our text and all that's good. Text offset is not good. So that should be 0.175. And I'm going to Control C, copy that. And we want that format, center above. Keep text inside. We don't really care about that. Save. So close, we'll see if this works. Looking good. And I'm just going to bring it out about like so, and click, and hit the scroll button. So then I want an arrow here. So I can already see that that there's several things that are wrong with this because I've left the text kind of screwed up here. So you know what? We're going to just change our whole dimension thing here. Just Control Z, get rid of those things. And so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to hit dimension and text. You know, all that looks good. Oh, that looks good. Okay, arrowhead prefix suffix. Okay, so let's go to Q and go to dimension and make sure everything's set correctly. So everything looks right here. Okay, but we need to go to dimension extended, I mean. So we're a little screwed up here. So overshoot should be 0.175. I'm just going to copy that in. Control C. I can't remember how we got that way, but from a previous project, I believe. That one should be arrow size. See, let me go all the way through here. The gap is good. Text offset is good. So this arrow size should be 0.35. And let's see, text offset, accuracy, that looks good. Everything looks good there. After feet. Okay, save. I think that's everything. Apply. Okay, so let's try this one more time. So we're going to go to dimension, hold it down, and go out to a dimension extend, and we're vertical still. So let's see if this looks right. That looks better. Our arrows look more better. And I'm just going to click here somewhere, and we're good to go. So now I'm going to go ahead and do an arrow. And usually what I do is I just right-click that in and come down 3 feet or so, set a point, hit enter. So my arrow's the wrong type, and it's also the wrong size. It should be 0.35. It should be the same as normal text, or same as text. Okay, so I'm just going to type 0.35. And also the other thing I want to do is I want to change the arrow type to this type of arrow. Okay, so now if we scroll out a little bit, this is telling the framers that the floor framing starts from that south end and 16 inches on center heading north. So I hit Control W now and I click Save, and we have our floor framing now. We may have to do modifications to support interior walls if we need to, but this point in time I'm not anticipating it. So now we've done our floor framing, and that completes Dcad lesson 21D, having to do with structure and specifically our floor framing, upper floor framing. That's it.